In the bustling city of Lagos lived a young woman named Amara Okoye. To the outside world, Amara was just an ordinary house help working in a large mansion in Ikoyi. Every morning she woke up before sunrise, tied a scarf around her hair, and began sweeping the compound, washing dishes, and preparing breakfast for the household. People who saw her believed she was poor and struggling to survive, but what no one knew was that Amara was not truly a house help. In reality, Amara was the only daughter of the late billionaire businessman Chief Emmanuel Okoye, the founder of one of Nigeria's biggest oil and logistics companies. When her father passed away 5 years earlier, he left behind an empire worth billions. Amara inherited everything: the companies, the estates, the luxury cars, and even private investments abroad, yet wealth had brought her something she hated: fake love. Every man she met suddenly became perfect the moment they learned she was rich. They bought flowers, spoke sweet words, and promised forever. But Amara noticed something painful: their love disappeared whenever money was not involved. Some asked for investments, some wanted business connections, others simply wanted to marry her to secure their future. Amara grew tired of wondering if anyone could ever love her, not her wealth, so one day, she made a bold decision: I want to find someone who will love me for who I truly am. She said to her trusted lawyer and family friend, Uncle Bill, "What do you plan to do?" He asked curiously. "I would disappear from my rich life and live like a normal person." And that was exactly what she did. Amara rented a small apartment far from her luxury estates and disguised herself as a simple girl looking for work. Through a connection, she got a job as a house help in a wealthy household in Ikoyi. No one suspected anything. She washed clothes by hand, cleaned floors, cooked meals, and even slept in the servants' quarters. It was a completely different world from the luxury she once knew. Months passed. During her free time on Sundays, Amara would visit a small roadside restaurant to eat rice and stew. The restaurant belonged to a humble young man named Daniel Adeyemi. Daniel was not rich. In fact, life had been hard for him. He lost his parents at a young age and struggled through school while working different small jobs. With the little money he saved, he opened a small restaurant. He cooked the food himself, served customers, and cleaned the place after closing. One Sunday afternoon, Amara visited the restaurant as usual. Daniel noticed her sitting quietly in the corner. "You come here every Sunday?" he said with a warm smile. "But you always sit alone." Amara looked up, slightly surprised. "I guess I just enjoy quiet places," she replied. Daniel laughed softly. "Then you chose the right place. My restaurant is not very popular yet." Over time, they began talking more. Daniel would sometimes give her extra food without charging her. "You work hard," he would say. "House helps deserve good food too." Amara was touched by his kindness. Unlike other men she had met before, Daniel never tried to impress her. He never asked about her background or whether she had money. He simply treated her like a normal human being. One evening, heavy rain began to fall while Amara was still at the restaurant. The roads flooded quickly. "You can't go back in this rain," Daniel said. "Stay here until it stops." They spent hours talking. They talked about dreams, struggles, and hopes for the future. Daniel shared how he hoped to expand his restaurant someday and create jobs for young people who struggled like he once did. Amara felt something warm in her heart. For the first time in years, she felt peace. Months passed, and their friendship slowly grew into love. One night, while closing the restaurant, Daniel gathered the courage to speak. "Amara," he said nervously, "I know I'm not rich. And my life is still a work in progress. But I truly care about you." Amara's heart beat fast. "I don't have much," Daniel continued, "but I promise I will always treat you with respect and honesty." Amara smiled gently. "That is all I have ever wanted." Eventually, Daniel proposed to her with a simple silver ring. There were no luxury cars, no expensive dinner, no crowd watching, just two honest hearts standing under a small streetlight. Amara said yes, but before the wedding, she knew she had to reveal the truth. One evening, she invited Daniel to a large office building in Victoria Island. Daniel was confused. "Why are we here?" he asked. "Just come with me," Amara replied. They walked inside. The receptionist immediately stood up respectfully. "Good afternoon, Madam Okoye." Daniel froze. Employees greeted her as she walked through the hallway. Some even bowed slightly. Daniel looked completely shocked. Amara led him into a large office, the CEO's office. Then she turned to him. "Daniel, there is something I must tell you." She explained everything: her father's company, the billions she inherited, and why she disguised herself as a house help. Daniel stood silently for several seconds. Then he laughed softly. "So, the woman I wanted to marry is actually a billionaire?" Amara looked nervous. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you earlier. I just needed to know if someone could love me without knowing my wealth." Daniel walked closer and held her hands. "Amara, I fell in love with the woman who eats rice in my small restaurant and laughs at my terrible jokes." He smiled warmly. "Your money changes nothing." Tears filled Amara's eyes. For the first time in her life, she knew she had found real love. Their wedding became one of the most talked about events in the city. But what made it special was not the luxury decorations or the famous guests, it was the story behind it. A billionaire who disguised herself as a house help. And a humble man who loved her without knowing she owned half the city. And from that day forward, Amara and Daniel built not only a successful business empire together, but also a marriage built on something far more valuable than money: true love.